What's up? Welcome back to Southern Unscripted. I'm your host, Sarah, and I am super excited about today's guest. I'm honestly kind of nervous too. I decided to bring my husband, Kyle, on for many reasons. We have been together we're coming up on 22 years, and you can about imagine in a relationship within 22 years we have some stories to tell, and we've always been somehow inspiring to other couples. And so I just thought, as I'm learning my audience and what the people want, it would be a great opportunity to just kind of tell our story and talk about our struggles and how we made it where we are and how to make sure you reconnect within a relationship. So here we have it. What's up, babe?
Hey.
This is Kyle's first time doing something like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a little nervous, but it's okay. We're gonna get straight into the meat and potatoes because our story is a pretty heavy one. But I do want to tell you at any point you can don't be rude, but you can interrupt me like if we both have different versions of our story, different perspectives, and I want to make sure that both of our perspectives are out there. Okay, first and foremost, I was actually thinking about this today on my ride home from the gym. I think we met when I was like 14 years old because I was like trying to do the math. And towards the end of my year being 14, we met. By the time I was 15, we started dating. And I remember there was something about you. You were just funny. Funny is important to me. If you can't make me laugh, bye. But the chemistry was there, and we both felt that because I remember it took at least 4 months before we even had our first kiss. And it was in some raunchy hotel that his sister rented out one random day. But after our first kiss, I mean, we kind of just were inseparable at that point. But I mean, again, we were kids. I was 15. Um, 15 or 16. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the timeline. But it wasn't too long before I got pregnant. By the time I was 16, I got pregnant and we both panicked. I'm 16, he's 18, and we didn't know what we were going to do. I called my parents immediately, but he was still trying to process everything. I think it took him at least 4 months before he told the news to his mom. Um, But I am super grateful for his mom. They had like this studio in the back of their house, and they were willing to like gut it, renovate it to make us a little home to raise our baby. And we did just that. And what was your job at the time? You were like cutting grass? Just
Man, you went way too fast with all of that, to be honest. You kind of like skipped through a whole bunch of stuff. So you had my mind. We met through mutual friends, to be frank. You kind of just skipped over a whole bunch of stuff. We both went to the same school. We had mutual friends that were hanging out. That's where we met. Youth, you know,
parties.
Yeah, just doing the teenage stuff. That's how we met through, and slowly but surely, things became from friends into more things. Everybody knows how that goes. And then before you know it, boom, we got a situation. Situation got real quick. Um, so yeah, that was actually a time. I believe I was 18 and you were 16 years old whenever we found out you were pregnant. And you're right. You told your mom right away, and I didn't tell anybody. I just hid, kept it to myself, wanted to wake up and believe it wasn't true. I mean, who wants to know at 18 years
18, your
old?
whole life is like, you have these plans. And 18, you kind of just getting your life started. You graduated high school, you're trying to figure out what you want to do with this life that God gives you, and God had different plans. Um, but in our early years, we were so young. Thank God for our parents. Our parents helped us out so much. We were so young, and we still wanted to like do young kid things. Like we still wanted to be young and still go have fun. Like I didn't get to go to my prom or any of those things because I had a baby. So like a lot of those things were I don't want to say stripped from me like it's a negative thing, but
That's the truth.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
call it
it,
what it is. And for me, like I got to do those things, but then it's, freshman year in college, it's just like you a dad, and we were the first of all our friends to have a kid. So it's not like we had another couple or anybody else that we could like link with or, go let the kids play and us go do things. It was always her friends are calling her to go do things. My friends are calling me to go do things because everybody's in the prime of their life. You know what I'm saying? You got people, all her friends are just getting out of high school, just going to college. Mine are 2 years into college. We got a lot of the same mutual friends. And my mom helped a lot. She kind of gave us an avenue to where we could still have somewhat of a
a kid
childhood.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still do those things. I mean, she was the go to. Like, she was always willing and able. She loved Caden. She loved kids, as she loves everybody else. She was a blessing for sure. And Miss Alice helped multiple times. Sarah's sisters helped. We had a good group. We definitely, Sarah did a great job. I probably was below average at that age. I would could barely take care of myself, much less, whenever you get a kid. The baby stuff was hard for me. Um,
But even so, like give yourself a little bit of grace. Imagine this. Caden was born in '05. My graduating year is '06. So I still had my friends having high school parties and I had a child. So it's like I'm not wrong, nor are you, for us wanting to be included in those type of milestones in high school. You know what I mean? I know you had already graduated, but like we were still kind of in that life and we weren't wrong for wanting that. And I think having the pressure of being a parent, but also the FOMO of missing out of our teenage years, like it caused a lot of friction
yeah,
between us.
in the moment, we wanted to find fault in what we were doing, but like later on in life, looking at it, it's like,
We were kids.
your best years of your life were stripped by a decision you made, and my best years were stripped from me by a decision I made, or somewhat of those times, right?
Yeah.
Like we still got to live them, but we had, almost like a handicap. You had something that was preventing it from being the way it should be, even if you got to go do something the next morning, if everybody else is waking up with a hangover, it's like you wake up
Had a
with a
baby.
responsibility. But I think looking back on it now, I give us more credit than I did at that time, because it's like you almost see everything you do wrong at that age. But as you get older, you kind of realize, man, you're doing the best with what you have. This is the hand you dealt with. Um, and this, we attacked it. We didn't run away from it. Um, you even being younger than me and carrying the kid and taking care of Caden, I felt like you always had those motherly instincts at a young age, which was very impressive. Like looking back on it now,
And
um,
honestly, I really just got that because all my sisters were having babies at a young age. And so, like, I was just used to having babies since I was, shoot, like 6 or 7 years old. There was always a baby in my house, in my family. So I guess I just learned that trait. But with the pressure of us just trying to live a young life and raise a baby, it caused friction. So we kind of went our ways for a couple years, which was really hard because it was literally the battle of, I guess, the freedom of a teenager, but we still loved each other so much and we couldn't deny it. And I think even our closest friends knew that about us because it was always like a battle of like we'd come together and not it weren't work out and separate. It was like a we did that for like 2 3
yeah,
years.
it was a pushing like a tug of war, right? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You gain a little bit of ground on this side, and then this person. It was like every time we would try to make it work, one of us was ready, and the other person was at a stage in their life where they wasn't ready, and so we just went through multiple years with the heart, tugging on the heart because you still love that person, but at the same time wanting to be selfish, I guess was the best way that you could call it. And
Yeah.
selfish in your just wanting the freedom to do what you wanted to do because right whenever we had Caden, we basically tried to act like we were married at a super young age. You
Yeah,
know, like we had the
very.
house behind my parents, and we were living.
Being domestic at
Yeah, we were trying to live a married life, which I mean, at that age, trying to do that with not even being mature enough to understand what that is was destined to fail.
right.
Um, and then when things fail, naturally, I mean, things get ugly at different times, and then you go through them and you kind of make a mistake, you learn from it, make a mistake. But there was the constant, I would say, through all the, chaos was the love that wouldn't, it's like something was just always pulling me and drawing me back to you. And
Insane.
obviously, it
Yeah.
was the same way coming back. Um, and that's what, that was the thing that never changed. And you can't put, there's no words to describe love, just like there's no book on how to be a parent, it's kind of just a feeling you have. It's something that just, consistently tugs at you and reminds you that that feeling is your feeling, and you keep on feeling that. And that's what the description of love for me is, always having that for you, you know.
Yeah. So, and then in this tug of war game that we played, Caden's getting older. He's getting older and like just right in front of our eyes. So I just remember at least by the time he was 5, maybe,
5 is whenever we probably got back
we
together.
decided like, okay, let's give this a shot, but we're going to go all in. We're going to like, I don't want to rush, we've already been through enough at this point. Don't want to rush marriage. We don't need to get married and do all that. Like, let's just try to find some balance for Caden. And we did.
Yeah, I still remember the day.
Me too.
You were in Florida, and you text me and you asked me to drive out there for the weekend, and you just wanted to talk to me. You wanted to talk to me. Long story short, but I just dropped everything I was doing, got in the car, and went out there. And then after that weekend, we got back. We moved back in together, and since pretty much that situation,
We've been
um,
fighting for our love.
we we kind of stayed together. We gave it a timeline, and we were like, if this one doesn't work out, we need to let each other go. As much as we love each other, it's either like we get to enjoy this life together, or we love each other enough to let each other go and be happy in your own life.
And I do remember like just being marriage is a no. I don't want to get married. I come from a broken home where, the marriage failed. So it was like I already had this stigma in my head of marriage. And then now I went through all this. So I was just like, I just specifically remember we're going to give it all we got, but we're not getting married. Like I just remember being stern on that. And then a couple years later, I was like, man, this feels good. We're not getting any younger, so then let's do it. And then we kind of had this conversation of getting married, and I remember he proposed. And honestly, like we had a great wedding. We went to Dominican Republic, had a blast with at least 30 of our family and friends came. But I do remember the feeling of like nothing really changes when you married and you already live a married life, but I do remember that feeling of like a lock, like the trust, the lock, it's sealed, and it was a different good feeling to have. Um, but ever since then, honestly, I mean, how long has it been since we married?
12 and
12
a half.
years. 12
Yeah,
years. So
maybe.
I asked him the other day, I was like, when somebody asks you how long you've been married, what do you say? And he says, well, I give the whole spiel, like 12 years married and 21 years together. And I'm like, I think I'm going to start saying, we're coming up on 22 years. I think I'm going to start saying 22 years because that's the story. That there's so much more layers to just the 12 years. So I started saying 22. Um, but in those 22 years, I do know that things were not always easy, and in marriages you have to learn how to compromise, and sometimes it's really hard, especially for men, to be able to put the other person first. um so once we got married, we really just kind of went in on living this married life.
Um, I mean, when we got married, we just kind of my job started to take off, and I was doing well. Kind of everything I was hoping for from the previous years, all the fruits of my labor started to um, come to fruition. And so we got the house. You know, we went. We used to stay in my dad's rent house. Got to build the first house right after we got married, or right before we got married. We built the house. Got the
I
new
came home to the
car.
new house
Came home to
from
the
our
new
wedding.
house. Got the new car for the family. Things were good, man. It was kind of, you know, Caden was in a private school. We went from having nothing and just, you know, roughing it to like kind of feeling like we got to a place of we wasn't in a rut. You know, we were doing the right things. We were present parents. My job, I was taking care of my job. My job was taking care of my family. Um, just kind of, you know, all the stars were starting to align
Yeah.
around that time.
And it's kind of really been good ever since. I mean, obviously we're normal and we go through ups and downs, but you know,
Yeah, it's
just
a.
different
I mean, the
moves.
easiest way for me to put it is, I mean, some people can paint this pretty picture for social media or you know, for their friends when they go to dinner with everybody, and it's just a persona, it's just a fake
Yeah,
disguise.
I always say
um
the internet is fake.
and you know, but at that time, you know, it's like you really never know what people are like behind closed doors unless you're really good friends with somebody, and
Yeah.
sometimes you get, you know, to do things. Hey man, I hate seeing friends and family and people that were really happy together and then they end a relationship. And you know, naturally you talk to people, you know, and they start spilling, you know, their version of the story, because there's always two sides to everything. I think everybody knows that.
And I
And
think their feelings and experiences in that are valid too.
absolutely. It's just I know where I'm going with this is our struggles. I know them in depth. And so when you hear stories from other people and it's almost like, and I'm not calling anybody a quitter. It's just like I know what we've been through, and I know how happy we are now. And so I know that it's everybody can do it if they both are willing to put the work in, right? And does that mean
But you
somebody
have
maybe
to
needs
have
to
two
forgive a
willing.
little bit more than the other at different times? Yes, like absolutely. Somebody, but everybody needs to own up at some portion of the relationship. Everybody can do a little better. And when both people look at it from a perspective of like, you know what? I can do this and be a little bit better in my relationship. And the other person says, you know, I can do this, and that's when things start to come together and create a working together
A
relationship.
connection, a team.
When it's constantly like you do this and then they tell you you do this,
Mhm.
you know, man, you can fight that battle all day long. That can carry into months. That can create disconnect. Um,
And that's funny you say that because I was actually going to touch on this today. It's so easy for you to blame like the other person, like, you know, well, they don't do this and they don't do that. But the thing that this is solely my perspective, that got me through a lot of our challenges was working on myself. Like actually looking in the mirror and working on myself. I am not perfect. I come from a father who is very alpha, aggressive, controlling. And so you obviously pick up some of those traits from your parents. And so when I learned to pull the wall down and actually look at myself and have epiphanies of why I act a certain way, why I react and respond a certain way, all of those things have been a huge ingredient in me being a better wife and being more understanding and more compassionate about the way that he feels that I show up, if that makes sense. But I do want to get into a few questions. Now that we kind of just gave, you know, quick rundown of the story, I want to know when we were younger parents, what do you remember being like one of the hardest things in that season?
um, I guess, you know, from a younger age, the bothersome of like just the baby like interrupting your sleep and everything. And I know that might just sound petty and everything, but whenever you go from not having a kid waking you up in the middle of the night to all of a sudden like that's happening, and you woke up with him 99% of the time, but the other person is still there and you're still in it and you kind of want to help but you don't know how to help. And I might have slept through, more times than not, but it's like a constant reminder, like, hey, you got a kid. You know what I'm saying? And it's every time they need to
But I
change the
never
diaper and
asked you to
everything.
really like I gave you that. Like that was something I felt like that was my job. It was almost like I didn't want to ask for help because he would have probably done it wrong anyway. And then he worked, he provided, he worked. So that's my job to wake up in the night.
Yeah, it
So I
wasn't
think
the
I did
waking
that.
up. It's just a constant
Yeah, like
reminder of, hey, you have an obligation. Like you have, it's something different. Like whenever you're 19 years old, you don't. It's not like you plan out. Yes, we're ready to be parents, and you do this. It's
yeah,
like boom, you got a kid. And this kid's it's gonna be here every day,
for the
and
rest of your
it's
life.
gonna get hungry, and it's gonna need things. And for the first year, a kid totally requires you to do everything for them. Then
Everything
as they start to
dependent.
get a little older, they start feeding themselves. They start doing. It gets a little easier as time goes. And it's just the responsibility of the kid. I remember at a young age just being a shock.
For me, the hardest part was like not getting the opportunity to choose what I wanted to be. Like, I didn't get to finish school. I had to go get my GED. I guess it's cool to say that I had my GED before my actual graduating class, but I guess not. And then like I knew that I always wanted to do something and be something with my life, but it was like I felt like I had something holding me back from just whatever because I had a child. So that was probably the hardest part. Um, but looking back in hindsight, I had the opportunity to be a mom, very much there. And now my kids are grown and more independent. I could kind of do what I want now. So, how do you think we've grown the most as a couple since those early years?
Well, I mean, I think we just pay. I think we're both a little bit less selfish.
Yeah.
I think we were both fighting to be selfish because we couldn't be selfish because we both had a responsibility with a kid,
Hmm.
and then trying to act like you're married whenever you're a teenager and you don't really want to, but it seems like it's the right thing to do. We fought through those things, and it's like now we've genuinely got to kind of start dating each other and actually figure out who each other are, and find those things that maybe you disagree with, but you can deal with, and just looking at them on the optimistic side rather than the negative side of it, and understanding that it's okay for people to be different, um, and you don't have to think alike to love each other and to get along. Like each person's unique. That was a big one for me. And, maybe it's not for some people, but for me, I just, I think I like to think I have good common sense and I think logically. So when somebody doesn't think like me, it's hard for me to fathom that because I feel so strongly and passionate in my thoughts that when somebody thinks the opposite way, it's hard for me to understand that. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized not everybody thinks like you, and that's okay, Kyle. And that sounds simple to some people, but for me it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Some people can call it arrogance, some people call it confidence, some people call it different things. I call it, I'm passionate about the way I think. Can be very good, can be very bad at different times. But
So for me, I think I've grown better in just being more assertive and like and serving you because I think men have needs and I've definitely gotten better at serving you. But like to give myself a little bit of grace, my parents are divorced. I never seen my mother serve anyone other than my sisters. Um, so it was like it was something I didn't know and I had to teach myself in my later years. Um, what small daily things do you think keep us feeling connected now?
man, I think the mornings have become pretty good for us waking up kind of before
The rest of the
the, the,
world?
the rest of the world. Just giving that extra, whether it's 15 to 30 minutes and you make coffee for us every morning, and it kind of like gives me a reason to wake up because if I kind of sleep through it, the coffee's going to get cold. So I need to drink it now and I have to get up to drink it. So, and then it can be something that's just, watching Marley wake up and get ready for school. And I just start, talking to the guys at work before they're going to jobs. Just maybe making breakfast for some, just,
Yeah.
a little, the family
Small
moments
acts
in the
of kindness, but
morning.
we each pick up slack where slack needs to be
Whereas
picked
before,
up.
when we used, in different jobs, I was either up before you or after you, and the times I could sleep in, I did. Now we kind of utilize the mornings as a little family time, or us time, then the family time.
Yeah, and I can't agree with that more. Um, what would your perspective be about being connected in a relationship? Like, what does that look like to you?
um I guess now I think I have a lot better vision and understanding of it. Whereas, like when we were younger and you kind of just get thrown into something, and then when the kids, it's kind of like it was just, it didn't generically, happen. It happened fast. Now I feel like we actually dating each other, and by dating each other, like, just not just existing with each other, but like actually dating and talking and communicating. Communication, I would say to everybody, like, if you're not communicating in your relationship and you have problems, I would start by communicating. And if you hear something you
Everything.
don't like, but somebody's communicating with you, don't reject everything they're saying
Or respond in
in a
a
negative
aggressive and negative way
when you're
because
actually getting communication and that's
yeah,
what you're asking for.
yeah,
Once you're getting the
agreed.
communication, then start processing through how can we communicate better. But if you ask them to communicate, then to communicate and you shut down that, you don't get far with that. So I think communication for us has got real, it's got a lot better. Kind of lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, and so just to piggyback off of that, I literally told someone this yesterday. People always ask us if we want to have another kid, and I'm always open to being a mom again because I love my kids and I would do anything for my kids. But we've had a kid since I was 17, he was 18, and we've never got to just enjoy being in a relationship and then deciding to get married and then deciding to have kids. We never got to like just be us and enjoy us. And so now I feel most connected because my youngest is 9, and it gives us the opportunity, like he said, to date again and go, keep things spicy. We travel. It's like it's literally all we do now, and I'm enjoying it. Okay, so I'm sure we're gonna have some couples watching for some tips. So I'm gonna give you like some questions, and we're gonna try to give some advice in relationships. So if a couple listening feels like they're disconnected in their relationship, what's one simple thing that they can do this week to feel like a team again? And I'm going to kind of interrupt real quick because I know you just said communication is key. And that is like, to me, the foundation of a relationship is communication. But I learned, I learned something as simple as this: doing the dishes. If you are shutting the kitchen down and you see your partner, you know, tackling the dishes and the sink is full, go help them. Because when you start doing activities like that together, then you create this feeling of a team. And then whenever the thing is done, it's like high five, we just did that. Same thing if like we have a project going on in the garage. We go out there and we do it together. I feel like those small things can help bring that like team again. Like just you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, instead of saying, "Hey, did you do this? Hey, did you do this?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I would just say, instead of whatever's bothering y'all, whatever's that nagging, that thing that's just poking, that aggravates the shit
Poking the
out of
bear.
you about both people, just both people let your guards down. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one person shouldn't let their guard down, but by you letting your guard down and the other person doing it and just being vulnerable, be who you are. Go on a date. If you got kids, get a babysitter. Like, make it important to spend the time together and actually, call it date. call it whatever you want. And if you ain't got a whole bunch of money, then keep it simple. Go walk in the park or go on a
Yeah.
picnic date or just do something. And don't find an excuse to not go, and don't find a reason that you don't like that place. You know, if it's around her birthday, let her pick the place to go. If it's around his birthday, let him pick it, or whatever it is. And when you go, don't call another couple to come meet you to where the two guys are shooting pool and the two girls are talking shit and gossiping about the other people walking around. Like, go to two people together, intentionally ask each other questions, maybe bring up some of the best times that you've had, or the honeymoon you went on, or your first kiss,
Yeah.
or just
Reconnect
something
on that.
positive, and try to rekindle whatever. And and if something's been tugging on your heart or bothering you, um, just be open about it. Communicate. And if there's something you want more in your relationship, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can just be something that you're yearning for, that you're searching for, and just be vulnerable and
Yeah.
talk to them about it. And for the other person, if that person opens up to you, don't, negatively shut them down whenever they're asking for something, whether you understand it or not. It's on their mind, and you supposedly love that
Yeah.
person.
And I
So
kind of want to piggyback off of that because you say be vulnerable, and something that men are not good at is being vulnerable. But also, if a man is willing to tear the wall down and be vulnerable, and he may say something that potentially could hurt the woman's heart, the woman still cannot respond in a way of like, oh, is that how you feel? Because you have to create that safe space for him to be vulnerable with. If there's anybody that he's going to be vulnerable with, it should be his wife, but you have to create that safe space that he can say anything without it offending you or hurting you or you disagreeing with it, because ultimately that's what you want, right? You can't ask for it and then kind of lash out on it. How do you balance being individuals while also being partners? I think I still struggle with this, but I'm getting better at it. I guess like you have a hobby and you stick to your hobbies, and that's like your space to like no distractions. Like if work is busy, it allows you to kind of free up your mind. You have hobbies, you have things you do. I'm like trying to find things for me to do. I'm doing a podcast. That's the thing, I
yeah, I
guess.
would say I think you do too much, but um, yeah, I think we both do.
But a hobby would be something good that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, some guys hunt, some guys fish, some guys hunt and fish.
I think more
Um,
so women struggle with it because you being a mom at home is kind of like your identity. And then that's what you end up doing, and you don't step out. It's hard to go have girls stuff, but like there's so many things you can go do. You can go walk at the park, you can play pickleball, like, or golf, or pick up a hobby. My sister is empty nesting and she picked up sewing, which I think is so strange, but it works for her. So I think, and it's her allowing herself to still be individual. What's one ritual habit we have now that really helps us stay close?
I think going to church together is
Yeah,
probably something that we kind of decided to do together, and when we do it together, we both just
go
kind of
all
get
in.
you, it kind of fills your cup.
Mm-hmm.
Some days we go and man, it's it resonates with you and they're talking to you, and other days you go and I just feel like maybe it's somebody else's turn, like the sermon or the
But
gospel
you
or
still
whatever.
walk out feeling good, and we
Yeah,
both happy
and we
about
bring
it.
the kids, and it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that's the one thing, anytime we go eat out as a family, when we bring the kids, even when we go eat out and it's just us spending a meal, time and having a meal together, just doing those things.
And then also our little nighttime routine where we go and we just love on each other. We'll find a show to watch or find a new series, and that always keeps us connected
Yeah, that's new. I think I tried to get her to watch series with me for the last
for
10 years,
years.
and it was her on the Real Housewives, and I'd even watch those things with her, even though I didn't care about them.
But you know what? Why I've allowed myself to be more okay with watching TV now? The truth is like I'm tired of looking at my freaking phone. when you work from your phone, you do edits on your phone, you do Canva on your phone, you send in files. I literally do everything on my phone that I'll find myself scrolling just because I'm on my phone. And so for me, when I put my phone down and put the TV on, like I'm completely disconnected from my phone. And I honestly mentally need that. So I think that's what allowed me to, but I'm enjoying it. I like The White Lotus. That's my show. I'm waiting for it to come
Yeah, and
back.
you got to give and take. Some of the things we watch, I probably wouldn't go to those things, but I know that it's leaning more towards something she'll enjoy. And I'm a TV person. I got that from my dad. I mean, anybody that
Yeah,
knows my dad knows he can watch TV with the best of them.
all day long.
So now, and it just gives you something you can kind of compensate through the day on. You can look forward to, like, hey, we're going to watch another episode tonight. Just, small little wins.
Yeah. And sometimes they're not even good shows, but it's
Yeah.
just our routine of like, we're going to watch something together, we're going to cuddle, and that's it. What do you think has been our biggest strength as a couple?
Perseverance.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a question. Anybody, I talk to a lot of people, but I'll talk to a stranger now and, they'll ask, we get the question, Cadence 20,
Oh, yeah. Is he the daddy?
is,
That's the
or
one I
is
get.
Sarah the sister of Caden? And when I tell them the story and it's, short version, good version, but, it's just kind of we have that unique perseverance that I don't think many people have experienced what we've experienced with that.
Somebody asked you if I was your daughter one time.
I don't know, not me personally. I
Oh,
don't think. I think they're just trying to talk to you because you're pretty, and they just say little
I
stupid
mean,
things.
if I look like your daughter, I'm going to milk the shit out of that because
I
I
don't
want to
know.
be young as long as I can. I would say kind of the same thing, the resilience, the fight that we were willing to put up for each other. There was a lot of years that we were both combative with each other, but I think we're both finally, and I mean, you guys, 22 years it took. We're both finally in a place where we pulled the wall down and we're both open to evolving together. And our flow and the energy and everything just feels so good where we've landed. And I'm excited because I'm sure there's more to come. But the last thing I want to ask is what advice would you give couples going through a season where everything just feels heavy?
Um, you know, I would say you don't feel at anything until you quit. And I know some people who go through things and they think like, well, you just crossed the line, like you just did this, and I can't forgive that. I can't forgive that. And I just challenge people. Everybody can make their own decision, but just genuinely, if you genuinely love somebody and you believe that they love you too, and they're like that piece of your heart, there's nothing that anybody can do that's not worth, keeping your family over if that bond and that love is that deep. Don't put somebody else's feelings or somebody else's thoughts or somebody else telling you what you need in your life. When you look in the mirror, you see one person. That person's thoughts is the most important. So
Mm-hmm.
listen to your heart. And if that
Yeah.
tells you that that's the person that you want to spend your life with, and you feel that that person is reciprocating in that, then fight for what you want and don't listen to all the gibberish and all the noise on the side because, they got a lot of opinions out there and
Mm-hmm.
there's only two people in a relationship. So keep the conversations in between those two people. If you feel like you're genuinely getting somewhere in your growth with that person, then it's always worth fighting for, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I would kind of say the same thing. Like if you have two, it always starts with two willing people. I don't know what that looks like if you have one willing and one not. But two willing people, I would say find that positive thing. We choose to go to church and pray. I know some people would rather, the universe and it, but to me, it's still all some positive reinforcement that you can bring within you can't it within your relationship, but they even have, couple life coaches, couple therapy, to have that conversation to figure out how you can walk through this heavy time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Like one thing is too, like some people are better communicators than others. So if you're
Yeah.
two people that the struggle is the communication, then I would say go sit in with I mean, there's versions. There's counselors, life coaches. There's marriage counselors. There's an abundance of things through the church. A lot of
Resources.
times you can
Yeah.
find, and these people are not going to go and just tell you how to do everything right and change the whole game. They're just going to make it easier for you to hear each other's voices. Is the easiest way I can put it, right?
Right. Because sometimes when you're having a disagreement, the other person could be yelling at you and you
And you
already
shut
don't even
down.
want to listen to
Yeah.
them because you're arguing. So it's almost like a good mediator for you to actually
And then
allow each
somebody
other to
with
be heard.
some positive, and maybe that's somebody's mom or sister or brother, and that's all fine and dandy. But when you get somebody neutral that doesn't have any,
Yeah.
favoritism and that doesn't have an angle, that just looking at the two people, what they hear, and give you their opinion on things, that goes a long way if you're open to
I
it.
think that's better. I kind of stand on the rule of like, don't share your issues or struggles with like your girlfriends. That's like this is like, how does Elena Cardone say? This is a contract. And our struggles are privacy. Like this is private and we have to figure out how to get through it. But again, two willing people willing to communicate and willing to put up the fight. I think a neutral person is absolutely 1000% better than just calling your sister and bitching about somebody that they're going to create a perspective about now because you hurt the person that they love. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So it's like, just keep that stuff private. Well, thank you for doing this. I know you were very, very nervous, but I think you did great. And I know you're new here, but we always like to finish with a game because it's could be education, but it's got to be fun. But I kept the game light for you just in case. So we're going to just play a who's likely to. I'm just going to list a bunch of things and you're going to either choose you or choose me, and I'll do the same. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Who's more likely to forget to take out the trash?
You.
Yeah, for sure. Because you know what? That's not my job. I don't take out the trash. That's your job. I do other things. Who's more likely to blast music too loud in the car?
You.
You think?
Yeah. I don't even listen to music in the car often. You put music on in my truck. So
But
how
I,
would I
I
do
don't
that?
put it
I
loud.
like peace and quiet when I drive.
I know, me too. Today I started my audiobook back again. Who's more likely to text back late?
Me.
Yes, or not at all? Because he has 1,000 and something unread messages as we speak.
Forgive me.
Who's more likely to buy something expensive without telling the other?
You. I don't
I
know.
think that's a good
50-50.
50-50
Yeah. I might have did
because,
that before.
yeah, next thing you know, you come with the expensive pickleball shoes and paddles. And I'm like, you just got that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does put them to good use. So I'll give you that. So who's more likely to snore louder?
Me.
I thought you didn't snore.
I mean, it depends on the moment. Sometimes it's just breathing hard.
Right. Or not sleeping at all. Who's more likely to cry at a movie?
You.
Me. I
I've
cry at a commercial.
I've
If
cried
it's,
at a movie before though.
I'm definitely more emotional though. We'll say that. Who's more likely to get hangry first?
I don't know. I get
I would
pretty
say
angry.
me though,
I mean, okay.
but like it starts to show in anger with me when I'm hungry.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's just anger. I don't know how to pinpoint it or what to put it on. I'm just like, hey, there she is.
She arrived today. Who's more likely to post something embarrassing on social media? Obviously, that would be me because you don't even post on social media.
There you go.
But I try not to post anything embarrassing. Who's more likely to plan a spontaneous trip?
I mean,
We
I don't know
don't.
that you.
We don't spontaneous. We plan everything. Who's more likely to fall asleep during an argument? I don't think anybody. That's actually a great tip. Never go to bed angry. Like, figure it out before you go to sleep because I can't sleep if we're
You
arguing.
you will go to sleep, man.
It's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
I guess
better in the past, yes. Um, who's more likely to spend way too long getting ready?
you.
You
I
got,
start late.
but you
I
take,
don't take too long.
but
I
we're
just
late.
start late.
We're gonna be late.
That's not the question.
What's the question? Let me see.
Take too long to get ready. You
Getting
take double or triple, so it has to be.
so, but if I would say who's more likely to make us late,
If you, I mean, yeah,
it would be you.
okay.
Who's more likely to be the first to apologize?
Me?
Absolutely. He is very good about that. He can be angry and the flip of the switch, and he's like over it, like ready to
Yeah, I
go.
ain't got no time for that.
Who's more likely to forget to pay a bill?
You?
Yep. Who's more likely to burn something while cooking?
I don't know. I mean, I burn bread every now and then.
I'm
I
going to
just
say
forget.
me just because you cook and you cook pretty
Yeah, I
good.
don't burn the food. I'll just burn the bread every now and then, just because I don't know.
You walk because you don't
Sometimes
put
it's
a timer on
sad.
or something
Yeah, I
and you
don't
walk
mess with the
away.
timers too much.
Who's more likely to laugh in a serious moment? You.
Maybe so.
It depends. If we're
I
serious,
like to
like
laugh.
for work, then if something happens, I could probably laugh. But if we're serious in an argument, oh, I'm probably too mad to laugh. And then who's more likely to plan a romantic date?
You?
Yep. I think I'm the romance here.
Believe so.
Do you like that?
I love it.
Well, how was that?
Pretty good.
Okay. Thanks for coming. And I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. You know the drill. TikTok for teaser clips, YouTube for video, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify for audio. And I'll see y'all next time.
It was fun. Thanks.
Love you.